Hello there, we've not met yet. I'm Greg Gomez, here to present a special Igniting Change podcast. We're breaking the mold a little bit with a remix episode featuring some of our fellow Cubies. In these episodes, our incredibly talented team will dive into the latest in tech topics and industry news, from groundbreaking innovations in AI to the newest trends in app development and digital transformation. We're here to cut through the cyber noise, serve up a hot take, and keep you entertained along the way. Whether you're a tech enthusiast or just curious about what's shaping the future, these episodes are packed with insights that you won't want to miss. So sit back, stay curious, and let's ignite change together. So this week, we've decided to talk a little bit about AI. So it's me and James this week. So say hi, James.
Hey guys.
James is our head of creative here. I'm head of product. We've been playing around with a bunch of AI platforms, for our jobs, out of personal interest. We've been using a few, probably not that many that we found lots of uses day to day, but that's part of what we're going to talk about today, where we have found little niches in our workflow and things that we've liked, and how it's maybe changed our practice around various things that we do, and also been playing around with the ChatGPT advanced voice mode, which has been pretty fun as well. So welcome to the conversation. Anywhere in particular that you want to kick it off, James?
Maybe we could start with the advanced voice. I think just because it's so of the moment, we've both only just got access to it, and I think I've been playing around a little bit, experimenting, finding lots of things that we do like, and some that we don't as well. Had a few conversations with it so far. Tried to use it to sort of solve some problems and explore some different topics. I think, at the moment, finding it interesting. Interesting is definitely the operative word. The one thing that stands out right at the moment is it is quite janky. Have you found that? It keeps stopping on me.
So little stutters, right? So you're done, and then it will start saying something, and then it kind of stops and then picks up again.
Yeah, so when it stops and picks up again, sometimes it just hasn't. So and then you go back to the actual text conversation, and that is reflected there as well. It's just literally mid-word, it's kind of cut off. And that I do remember that was a feature of the demo that they did. So when they demoed that feature, there were a couple of bloopers in there. And you just kind of thought, oh, I guess that's the early version. It hasn't written off the experience for me. I think there's still more positive about it than negative. You can kind of work around that, but it still feels a bit in beta, I guess.
I found it really good. So notwithstanding those little issues, where I've enjoyed it the most is, so I've been doing work on my motorbike, so hands full of grease. Nice. I just leave the chat mode on and ask for help what is the torque setting for this bolt on the motorbike and stuff like that. And it just means I don't have to go and take the gloves off or wash my hands, go search for the information. It knows what bike I have, what tools I have, just from where the history, the memory. Sorry, not history. The memory feature that it has. So it's been quite nice for stuff like that. Hands-free stuff is quite nice. I've used it for recipes as well. So as I've been cooking, okay, this is what the classic. This is what I've got in the fridge. What can I do? Take me through it, and keep pausing, and I'll keep telling you what stage I'm at. That I've enjoyed it. It is just the next level of Siri and Alexa, right? They wish they could be that responsive. And we talked a little bit about how Siri's shortcomings in the previous episode, and I really hope that Apple Intelligence comes close to what the types of conversations you can have with the new advanced voice mode are like, because man, it is really good. And I can't, like the thing that we've both talked about a lot in conversations is like the action model thing, right? I want it to be able to act, not just have conversations. And I think that that's why I'm hoping that Apple Intelligence, has the same sort of like ability to converse, but then also be able to thread in, book a thing when I'm next free, or, send a message to whoever. Like combining it with being able to act in the real world, or, at least act on things on my phone, that for me is going to be the game changer. But I just with what the voice interface has now, it's been really cool to use.
Those just jumping back to the use case you talked about, they're really nice. That's a really nice use of it. I think when you're um, sort of in an environment and you might intermittently need it. I, what I really like about it, the interactions that I've had, is the fluidity and being able to sort of interrupt it and just have it on ambiently, and explore a topic a little bit. It's not something that I think that's such a big difference from Siri and
Mm.
anything you've ever had in a voice assistant. I think you probably won't be able to fully understand what use cases might be available to us yet. I was reading an article about a guy that was just had it had it on in his like Siri in his earpods, and he was just chatting to it as he was walking around, um, talking about his day and things like that. Doing a bit of a download, like that seems like quite a nice
Mm.
use case for it as well. And just exploring a topic. I think he talked about using it to just inquire about something that he wanted to learn about. I did actually try this. So there was one I wanted to figure out a little bit about how the principles about lighting rooms really
Mm.
well. I want to do that at home a little bit more, like figure out the best lighting. Um, and it was pretty good at that. You can kind of like from its responses pick up on a little thread and go
Mm.
down that, and then
Mm.
come back a little bit to the bigger questions and that natural conversation.
That use
Yeah,
case in the article of like you're reading the book and you just have it there waiting for you to prompt it with a question. I really liked that sort of the mindset of staying in the flow rather than picking up your phone. Oh, I got a notification, and then just immediately get distracted, and before you even Google the thing that you went to Google, you're reading the book. Oh, what? Tell me a little bit more about this thing, and it just answers you, gives you the context you need. You go back to reading the book. I like those uses where it helps you stay in the flow, and that's where I like
mm,
the voice interface, and I think it fits in really nicely over a chat interface. I can see lots of use cases where it's just a more elegant, interaction. Don't get me wrong, there are loads of places where voice interactions aren't good, right? And
yeah. I was going to talk about some of the limitations that I did find with it. So I really like the glowing orb, like
yeah,
that
yeah,
visual feedback when you talk to it. I do really like that, but some of the nice visual feedback that you get in the conversations with ChatGPT, where it's like telling you that it's reviewing certain sources, and with the O1 model, like it shows its chain of reasoning as it's going through. That's really nice. What that does is kind of give you confidence in what it's doing and how it's getting
mm,
to answers. I kind of lacked that a little bit, like that sort of transparency
mm,
and feeling like I could properly trust it in the voice mode, and wanted to actually at certain points flick back like fluidly
mm,
between the text and that, which I don't know, takes away a little bit. I wonder whether they might in future like incorporate some more visuals on that screen.
mm,
But it is lovely. It's lovely and
mm,
spare, and like the orb
mm,
is beautiful. But yeah, could it have some more feedback? Probably.
mm. I so you the thing that you mentioned there of the sources and like where it's getting the information from. I want to bring that back to when we talk about Notebook LM. Remind me, but it's really nice having a bit more confidence that it's not just hallucinating. Yeah, absolutely like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed using it. I had a thing the other day where I was just kind of found myself using it. Like in one room, my wife was in the next room, and I was just having like quite a good conversation with it. I was pretty self conscious of like, my wife just thinking like, who's he talking
Yeah,
to?
I've definitely got that as well. Like it's weird. I like I've played around with it with Gabby as well, and she's enjoyed using it. But yeah, there's like stuff where I'm already having like not deep conversations, but like personal conversations with it, and
Yeah,
asking for it to help me reflect on situations and stuff like that. And yeah, you do feel conscious of like where you're having those conversations, don't you? So that is a limitation of the voice interface, isn't it? Just like being able to have that private conversation can be tricky, but like for a lot of uses that I found for it, it's just really nice that the voice interface over chat, and it's made me use it more for sure for different things. Like you're obviously not going to give it a bunch of data and analyze this data for me. Maybe you might ask after, just tell me a story with this data. That
yeah,
could
yeah.
be an interesting thing. But yeah, I've been enjoying this the level up of a voice interface. It has been nice.
Talking of the, querying data and uploading documents. Do you want to talk about
Yeah,
Notebook?
so Notebook LM is a new app that Google have released. It uses their model, not ChatGPT, but basically allows you to upload sources, PDFs or data into a little workspace, and then it gives you a similar chat interface, and it allows you to sort of query questions about it and things like that. Have you had a chance to use it much, play around with it?
Not loads. I did. You kind of raved a little bit about it, and yeah, I had a little interaction with it. I was really impressed. Like, I immediately kind of want to, incorporate that a little bit more. I found similar stuff on ChatGPT where you try and upload documents and a few sources and things like that. I have found it get a bit confused and not really pull fully
Mm,
from them or see all of the content. Or I'm not quite sure what the issues with, but it wasn't quite working that well. This was like pretty instantly, like I don't know, delivered so I uploaded some document that I was working on for work and asked it to kind of, I'd done a bit of a stream of consciousness version
mm,
of it, and could you put that into a succinct, different format in some
mm,
bullet points, and yeah, it was great at that. I think quite different to ChatGPT, like the output, it didn't have that sort of that that those hallmarks of that ChatGPT always has. It was actually felt quite salient to the actual thing that I'd uploaded, and it wasn't trying to force it into um, a particular format and sign off with that smug
mm,
little like.
mm,
So this should accomplish X, Y, Z, and
It
at the
felt
end,
more matter of
I
factual, right? And just yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and just effective and like responsive as well. It wasn't like trying to you know, wasn't trying to validate too much like the prompts that I'd given it, and over putting more weight on that than it should. It was just like seemed pretty like, oh, this is quite a different AI output than stuff that I've seen. So that was great. I mean, the thing that really stands out was like the podcast.
Yeah, so we'll obviously share some links to this in the description, but people have been using it to create podcasts, and combining with a few different tools for creating like sort of avatars that read out the text and stuff like that. But the actual audio output that it gives is pretty impressive for the quality and the uncanny valleyness of it, and it's saying like, and like little sort of affectations of speech that sound really human. It was honestly really, really impressive demos of how people are doing that. We had a little play around trying to get a little co-host here. I wasn't able to make it work, so look forward to that in the next episode, where we may have a little AI co-host for us to experiment with. But those demos kind of blew my mind. Did you have a look at those as well?
The demos. No, I don't think so.
Cool.
I think I just generated a podcast
Yeah,
out of
yeah,
my
fair.
own document,
Yeah.
and like if you're saying that the
Mm.
demos are amazingly impressive, like I would say that the output I got would match
Mm-hmm.
that. Like I've listened to podcasts by humans that sound more like AI drivel than that AI drivel podcast. Like honestly, turning a work document into a podcast was just, I don't know. I didn't ever see that as a thing that I might want to do, but I kind of get it now. Like I can see that is potentially something you might want to do to make that content more engaging. When it was like the two hosts kind of
Mm.
throwing this subject back and forth between them, and like you were saying, like the sort of the really natural language, like the intonation, little like analogies that it was giving and breaking down the topic in quite a way that I just wouldn't have thought like it would be able to do that well.
I like the
Just
idea of
blew my
of
mind a bit.
whether with AI help or not, you've created some content and it helping you deliver that in different ways, and you're not having to go through the work of like reworking that content into different mediums. Obviously podcast is the one right now, but there's some announcements like yesterday, today, with the sort of the OpenAI Dev Day, and also who else was it announced? I can't remember. I will find the source, but there's been all sorts of announcements about like new models and stuff, and one of them is around video generation and just 10x faster video generation. Like it, the rate that this stuff is evolving is honestly pretty mad, and it won't be long before you can take a piece of content and turn it into a video and turn it into a podcast, and turn it into whatever visual media, or artistic medium you want to, quite easily. It's hard to compete with that,
Yeah,
isn't it?
for sure. And as much as some of like ChatGPT might allow you to do some similar things now, like transform content into different formats and things like that. It's just the thing that makes the Google one so good is just it's just the sheer quality of it. It's actually wasn't a bad
Mm.
podcast. I might, but,
Mm-hmm.
it's something that I could definitely see myself like just coming up on like my podcast feed and listening to that and kind of getting something out of it. So yeah, like definitely one I'll be using more. I really liked the sort of general design of the notebook
Mm.
um, LM product as well. Like it just feels very it's experimental. So the way that I think they framed it is just it's quite a early stage thing, but it seems very open to a lot of different uses. And just kind of high quality. You see, they probably spent the time
Mm.
where it's needed to
Mm.
make that work really well.
So another interesting thing that Google has done is the AI search summaries. Now that I have actively avoided and looked for ways to disable or to just like suppress those,
Interesting.
which isn't easy. There are a few extensions you can use, but I've just not found it useful at all, and actually hallucinated a fair bit. Um,
Yeah, I don't trust it
Yeah,
at all.
yeah,
Like I've learned actually. It's interesting you say it. I've not gone to try and disable it, but I just scan. I
ban a
immediately
blindness to it. Just move on.
yeah, like purposely
Yeah,
like that. Like where's that pulling from? Like if that's pulling from the the SEO drivel that I can see is the first few results
yeah,
in Google, then I don't want
yeah,
to know
yeah.
about that summary. So
My
yeah.
Google searches most of the time are have site colon Reddit and then the search query. Like that's the way I filter out the SEO
Yeah,
spam, and I
100%.
and it's just and even then I know that manipulation is happening on Reddit, and if you're looking for like a brand recommendation of the best trainer or whatever,
Yeah, yeah,
there's
yeah, yeah.
they're all over that stuff, but
Anyone seen these new Nike trainers?
but it's still a source I trust more than just general SEO nonsense. Like a lot of results I am mistrustful of. So I was quite surprised when I went looking to see how Google is doing. It has sort of things like Perplexity, which is like AI augmented search, like made a dent on Google. Like, are people using it less because they can just get their answer from ChatGPT or from Perplexity? It looks like currently these things aren't making a dent in Google's sort of search volume, which I found surprising because my habits have definitely changed around that. When it comes to like research, I use Perplexity a lot. When it comes to like ideation, I am using ChatGPT a lot, and that is replacing a lot of like the things that I would search for. Even the advice stuff, I found that um, ChatGPT is quite good at that. When you ask it for a bit of advice about what's the best blah, the best backpack you can buy, or and give it some requirements, and it will recommend you some good stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Have you found your search behavior changed at all in recent times with sort of AI things?
Yeah, definitely. I'm surprised to hear like that it hasn't put like a dent in. Like that is, yeah, that's kind of nuts. Because like you, I probably to a lesser extent, I think I use them in tandem. So you talk about the example of the backpack. So a typical thing for me might be like, what are some good brands that like specialize in this
Mm,
kind of backpack? So you ask Google that, you'll get whoever's pays
yeah,
the highest.
yeah.
That comes up, but I don't know. I feel like you'd get a bit more of a balanced answer from ChatGPT, even just to start you off on
Mm,
that journey of then knowing what to Google
mm-hmm,
search to those. So I feel like it has a role in honing in
mm-hmm.
your query and getting you away
Yeah,
from
yeah. So
saving you some of the
yeah, so
SEO.
even if you do end up on Google, it's like probably less searches because you're now already sort of like honed in on a path and you're searching for a more specific thing. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I did also talk about that sort of that thing that I tried with the advanced voice ChatGPT to learn a bit more about like how to light a room
Mm-hmm.
really well. So I like searched that in Google as well. And one thing that was really interesting, so it talks about like SEO spam. The amount of AI SEO spam now is like pretty. I really noticed it in that query. So um, loads of articles from loads of like quite reasonably established looking like small businesses that had a blog with like a lot of content around how to light a room and stuff like that, and really quite like well
Mm-hmm.
written articles like this. And then you kind of get into them and you sort of yeah you like they just all had those hallmarks of
Yeah,
that
yeah.
whiff of chat gpt. And you get into it and it's like, oh, okay, so I need 5 to 10 light sources in my room, and where would I get those? Oh, conveniently from you. Like, so yeah, like, I don't know. Like, I think generally information finding does seem to be getting harder, and I don't know how the sort of yeah, I don't know how in the future I can't see how it's going to get better, or like, but maybe that it just opens up, the space for somebody to
Mm.
make that experience a bit
It
better.
does raise the question around the business model that Google have, where they need you to search so they can display some ads, and the website you go to needs some ads to keep the lights on. If all that content is being trawled by AI, and I can just ask my assistant to trawl that, it's already got it in its model or whatever, like, how do they make money? How do websites carry on existing without the ad revenue, right? Or, if it's all just bots going to the website and, nobody's searching for things anymore. Like, I, for one, can't wait to not, like, it's nice, the search experience in Perplexity or in ChatGPT, because you're not being served ads, whether overtly through, actual banner ads, or through, you know, through insidiously through the content, like when you come across a blog post about the 5 best things and number one is the website that you're on, it's, conveniently we, yeah,
Wow,
we sell this
no
thing, imagine
way.
that. I hate those articles.
Well done,
I
guys.
really passionately despise that kind of
Yeah.
article. And yeah, I for one can't wait for when I just don't have to interact with that stuff ever again.
Do you not think maybe I don't know how maybe there's a way to sort of exclude that sort of stuff from training data, or whether they do that
Mm,
already. But with the amount of SEO AI spam feeding, back into it, like the effect of that could be quite interesting as well.
yeah,
Yeah,
manipulating the training data so your result
yeah,
goes up. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Um, so on AI being integrated into other things, a ubiquitous little icon that we're starting to see everywhere is the little magic sparkles. Now, I think we I don't know if we actually have very strongly different opinions here, but I think that we do sort of sit on either sides of the camp here. So tell us how you feel about the AI sparkle being used in every app out there these days.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's definitely part of a sort of so you've got like brand AI, like AI is a brand, and
Yeah,
the sparkles is the
yeah,
symbol, and people are kind of the way that a lot of products are integrating it at the moment is like it's this badge, like you put it
mm,
in and you get like the sort of recognition and the sort of
mm,
boost to your PR of like having integrated some AI features and things like that. So I do feel like it kind of is being used a lot for that, and I think um, yeah, it probably because of that will start to feel pretty tacky
mm,
and
mm,
hacky soon enough. Um, so yeah, I think it's also because of that like tack on effect. I don't know, like that's how we're approaching AI at the moment. I think it
tacking
will
it on.
become
Yeah,
symbolic of that. So
bolted on,
um,
back poorly
yeah,
thought out. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, it could even some of them have been good, but like because there's so many that aren't, it just sort of yeah. I think it will probably be a small phase. I understand why it's the symbol. I think it was quite cute when it was a thing at the start, and then like yeah, familiarity kind of breeds contempt, and yeah, I don't know. I think it will mature. I think we were looking at the Apple Intelligence, how they're communicating like this is AI now. Like the way that they do it is this kind of colorful ripples
yeah,
that take over the phone. I think that's really cool. It's kind of telling you AI is intrinsically
mm,
within this
mm,
whole device. It's kind of like
mm.
shrouding the whole thing. It's not like this little small part of it. So I thought that was quite an interesting development. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
So I quite like the icon. I think it's good. Like, it is a bit of like magic functionality on, on top of the way of they may already be doing something in the app. I do agree with you that I don't think it will last the test of time though. I don't think it'll be like we're still using the floppy disk icon for save. I don't think it will last that long. So you can tell already, like say Apple have already given it their own brand image, right? They've given it its own treatment. Um, but I think that there's this. So Benedict Evans, one of my idols, he talks about how AI is just software, and eventually it does just blend into the background. And it right now it's going through this hype cycle, right? And everyone needs to be seen as having AI, and the sparkle denotes that. It's an easy, it's become an easy way quite quickly actually to denote that, right? Like that sort of feature. But I think that it will start moving down the Kano model from a delighter to an expected feature, and it'll just be expected that you have that, and it won't be the sparkly thing it once was. It will just become software. um it would just.
Do you think so one thing, so it's useful for like brands to have the signifier to kind of like say like yeah, we've implemented something sparkly and fun. But for users, I wonder whether there's some like utility in just showing that this part of the product that you're interacting with is
Janky.
like you've crossed yeah, maybe you've crossed the Rubicon and you're into the AI
Yeah,
part of this now.
yeah.
And whether we'll still see like kind of yeah, I think we will, like more conventional like sort of software, and whether you need to signpost like, oh, you're interacting with AI now,
mm,
or you're interact
mm,
like, I don't know how that's going to evolve. That's the only thing that I could say for like maybe it will stick around, or
mm.
something else, just to say like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I guess it does probably bears to talk about what type of AI feature we're talking about, right? So the example that Benedict Evans uses about AI is just software is, Apple Photos has been using machine learning algorithms for years and years at this point to find your pets, create little reels out of moments and locations, and all of that is AI. It is machine learning, but they've purposely always talk about it in machine learning terms, right? They've avoided that term. It feels like they've kind of like finally caved to the pressure a little bit of like, okay, guys, we've got AI too, but they've been doing it for years, and it's just been there, making your life easier, bringing memories to the fore, um, so I like that. I like that kind of thing. It's just making life easier, and it's just doing it in the background, and doesn't have to be AI. But then I think I made the joke about jank. I do think there is a bit of a crossing the Rubicon where generative AI stuff can be a little bit hallucinatory, or
yeah, yeah, yeah.
protecting your brand from like, hey, here's some experimental stuff that may not quite work.
Expect some
Yeah,
variable
yeah,
output at this point. Like this isn't quite
yeah.
us. Like,
It's magic, but
yeah,
it also may, not be great magic,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It may be the drunk wizard you get today.
yeah, yeah. So what else have we got on the docket? So the last thing I want to talk about, have there been any little niches that you found, a little AI tool that helps you tackle a little specific or niche task? Or have you stuck to the more general purpose, ChatGPT and stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely more general. Like learning what parts of the the general models like work well for certain things, and um, the types of prompts to get it to do specific tasks. Playing around with GPTs a little bit, but
Mm,
yeah, not found them too great. But yeah, the only small niche one that I have used a little bit, and this is actually quite long ago, is like Hemingway.
mm,
Um,
mm-hmm.
it's just a nice little writing sort of, just shapes up your writing to be more concise, and yeah, like coaches you. I quite like the visual coaching element, and that I'm doing something. I'm not putting something into ChatGPT to say like, "Oh, make this like Hemingway," and then going, "No, like." you know,
Mm-hmm.
more
Mm-hmm.
concise, like make it more
More
concise, like
concise.
yeah. So yeah, I actually like that for that, because yeah, it's teaching me something at the same time, and but yeah, that's the niche one that I've used really, but I feel like you might have a few more up your
So
sleeves that you've been going
like
to,
I've not used many. I've found a few that are like getting a lot
but
of traffic and that I think are worth just sort of mentioning. But I'm still very much in the same space of like the general purpose. Like, I quite like that. I've not found many niche uses that, like, because what I've been interested in is like, so we've been talking about AI is just software and how it would just get bundled into other things. There is the argument of like, yeah, there'll be people that will figure out ways of unbundling AI and it being its own application and stuff like that. And I've been keeping an eye to see if there are any that are particularly interesting. One that I have been using personally is I run like RPG games, and there's like an AI voice changer. That's been a lot of fun. People have enjoyed that when we do sort of like games on calls. But for work specifically, like ChatGPT is just like that Swiss Army knife, right? Like it's just
yeah,
useful in so many different contexts that it's hard to justify another subscription beyond that because most of them, want to hit you with that monthly subscription. So I have found it hard. Some of the interesting ones that I found from one of my newsletters sort of lists out a bunch of tools that are getting millions and millions of views. So remove.bg literally is just there to remove background from an image, and they get not like 99 million visits a month plus. And that, it's like, sure, Photoshop has that feature, right? But they found a way to just unbundle that little thing that loads of people find useful, just being able to remove a background from an image, you know. So you mentioned Hemingway Quillbot getting roughly 95 million visits a month, and that's just a writing assistant. Multiple tools for helping you write. Um, Suno. So this one I think we should play around. So me and James swap a lot of playlists on Spotify, and just like you should go listen to this thing. So Suno is basically like a music generator and basically like a Spotify style platform. But I like the idea of like I'm looking forward to a day where I can just say, this is the vibe I'm in. Just give me some music, whether it recommends music or just creates it for me, based on mood and, I want to focus and this is the vibe I'm feeling. I'm looking forward to that kind of experience. Like we've talked about this before.
just
Yeah, go on.
just
Yeah.
on that one, yeah. So I don't know. This is like very recent. I think maybe even in the past day or a couple of days. But Spotify have got their own
Mm.
AI playlist generator. So you go to I think it's the library tab, and there's a plus
Mm-hmm.
icon. In there, you'll find if you've got it. I think it's in beta. There's like an AI playlist generator, and it takes you to a conversational
Oh
interface.
wow.
I typed in something like, "I want a playlist that reminds me of my emo phase in the winter of 2006." Um, and yeah, like it's a bit. We've used the word janky a lot, but yeah, it is a little bit janky at the moment. It's struggled a bit. It came back with a reasonable stab at that
Uh-huh.
playlist, but it didn't feel like a real intelligent kind of guess. It was kind of quite a lot of the general like rock hits of
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah.
So bands that the Killers and stuff's not quite in that what I was looking for. But yeah, like one to have a play with, and hopefully it gets a bit better.
Yeah. Have you played around with any of the generative music stuff?
Yes, yeah. What I can't remember. Annoying. We'll link to it. But there's a tool that I found a few weeks back that, it's text prompt, and used it to sort of you can write like give me a thrash metal song about adopting a vegan diet, or I think that's the exact prompt I used, and it was really good. Like it was, the lyrics were quite playful and fun, and like it got the sound right. It was, yeah. I will have to find that one out. But yeah, that was pretty fun to play with. But it was 30-second clips. I think you can get more and generate more where you get a certain amount of free tokens. So super easy to get set up and play with that one.
Yeah, that is one that I struggle with, like the relationship between me as a consumer and the artist, because my music consumption, a lot of it is like music to not distract me at work, that I can focus with, and it's just huge playlists. I don't know who the artists are. It's generally a vibe, that I listen to. So I as much as it will probably hurt a lot of artists like generative music, it is something I'm looking forward to, because I'd love the idea of just being able to tailor, just give me a mix and just continuous, until I press stop, along this vibe. That's something I'm quite excited to play around with.
I quite like, yeah, like enabling you to sort of create a little bit and play with existing music. Like, there's plenty of tracks out there that I thought could do with a bit of a funk like remix or something like that. It would sound really good like that. That I can't go and do that, but you could prompt something.
Make it more lo-fi.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that sort of stuff could be pretty fun. UDO was the name of the. So yeah, that's worth playing.
Nice. So I think I'm going to wrap it up for today. Any closing comments or thoughts?
No, just going to go and have a play with some more of those tools that we discussed, and definitely going to try out the advanced voice feature for a few more things. Like I think you've inspired me there. So
good. Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed listening. As usual, please like and subscribe if you don't already. If you have any questions or thoughts on anything that we talked about in this episode, or anything that you'd like us to cover in the future, do leave us a message. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you all, and have a good evening.